I'm grateful to you, Presiding Officer, and I'm very pleased to take part in this debate. For me, this is a bit of unfinished business in a sense, because when I was the Gaelic Minister, I had some responsibility for the discussions and negotiations and some of the funding to try and secure BBC Alpha in the first place. Patricia Ferguson was the then Culture Minister and played the biggest part in that, and concluded those decisions to establish a channel. And I'm very pleased that we did do that, because it's making a big contribution to strengthening and the normalisation of Gaelic in our society. I think the points that Alistair Allen made about normalisation are extremely pertinent and important, and that's really part of the function of this channel. At peak, it's had over 600,000 viewers. The average is about 220,000, which is about 5% of the Scottish population, and the reach into the Highlands and Islands is something like 11%. Very impressive indeed. So viewing cannot be solely confined to Gaelic speakers, and this channel is not a Gaelic ghetto in the way that Ted Brocklebank very ably described, I think. It's an active bridge between Gaelic and the many other cultures of our country. And those viewing numbers being far greater than the current number of Gaelic-speaking community shows that it's non-Gaelic speakers who are viewing and are in the process encountering Gaelic influences. And I hope in that process to increasing their interest in the language and increasing their support for this important part of our culture. And through the channel, Gaelic is reaching out into English-speaking communities in a very important way. And that's because the channel is not parochial or introspective. It reflects the culture of our Gaels, who are outward-looking, who are international in their perspectives, and who are multicultural also in their perspectives. But the promising start to BBC Alpha needs to be strengthened, and there are many Gaels, as people have testified today, living in their own communities who cannot get this service for technical reasons. If they were, through Freeview, the BBC estimate the audience would attract a further 150 to 180,000 viewers to that channel. That's very significant as an important part of how they can develop into the future. And that would empower not just Gaelic speakers to view programmes in their own language and through the roots of their own culture, but also empower non-Gaels to get access to this very rich, this very important dimension to our national life. And without the use of Freeview and cable, there's a very real danger of people continuing to be disenfranchised in that way. And the very communities that BBC Alpha was primarily intended to reach would not be fully reached without this development that we're all arguing for today. So I support the thrust of the Government's motion and our important amendment. I support the Tory amendment. I'm still a bit unclear, I have to say, about whether the Liberal Democrats are saying that this should not proceed to extend BBC Alpha until the question of the radio channels is resolved. If you could clarify that, I think that would be very helpful.
Ian Smith. I think what we are trying to say is this Parliament should make a very clear message to the BBC Trust that their proposals at present are not what we want to see happen, and that they really need to get their act together and actually come up with an alternative option as soon as possible to ensure that people in Scotland are not denied BBC services.
Mr. Peacock.
Well, I'm still not 100% clear about that, I have to say. But I mean, if you're saying, as I hope you are, that you would not wish to hold back BBC Alpha being extended until there was an answer, but you want to find that answer, I share that view that I want to find the answer to that as well. And I do trust that the BBC will accede to the application that's been made and the very strong support that's come for that application. But as we've touched on, that doesn't come without some difficulty. And the spectrum that would be allocated, as Ian Smith and others have referred to, could mean that some people would lose their radio service. Now, the reasons for that are technical. Normally there are technical answers to technical questions, and I would hope the BBC can find those answers, and I would encourage the Minister to work very closely with them and encourage them to try and find those answers so that nobody is disenfranchised in any respect because of this important development. Presiding Officer, Gaelic remains in a very fragile state. This development of BBC Alpha is just one of the dimensions in which we can strengthen it and create that kind of normalisation of a culture which for so long has been disadvantaged by a whole variety of mechanisms in our society. I very strongly support the thrust of this debate today. I hope we very quickly see the developments that we all want to see and that more people can get access to this very important channel.